everybody. It's Jay with the Otafest podcast. I've got Angelo and Nancy, as usual.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
Hello.
I hope everyone's been doing well, flourishing in the spring weather. It's been
Oh my
quite
God,
nice.
It's been wonderful.
It
We've
has
hit like
been.
15s and an occasional 17 and anything
This
above 10.
fall spring is wonderful, although I'm worried for second winter.
That sounds like it's like a Hobbit version.
Yeah, but at this point there'll be fake winters.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows about second winter, Mary.
Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we have an announcement. Please join us in welcoming back voiceover artist Erica Lindbeck to Otafest 2021. Erica has been the principal actor in American cartoons, video games, and anime, sporting credits such as Emma Skye of Phoenix Wright, Cassie Cage from Mortal Kombat 11, Jesse Raspberry from Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Captain Marvel in Marvel Future Avengers, and Eli Ayase of Love Live, and Kaori Miyazuno from Your Lie in April. Additional information can be found on our upcoming guests and their schedules in the coming weeks by visiting otafest.com, as well as our event information and viewing platform. We'll see you soon.
I do believe that it's Eli Ayase. I don't think that's an Eli.
It might be an Ellie, but I read it as Eli because
The book
I
of
ain't
Eli
no
Ayase.
I ain't no weeb. What do you think this is?
I
An
think
anime
this is
podcast?
a podcast
No.
about anime and Japanese culture.
In which we talk about
Actually,
anime.
that's bullshit. That's not what this podcast is
I
about. at all. This
don't
podcast is whatever the hell we feel
karimasu
like.
what you are talking about. Oh.
Wow, that was actually painful to hear.
Oh my God.
All right. I'm super excited to see Erica because she's been in so much like North American stuff and Japanese goodies that have been translated and dubbed over. It's
God.
very exciting.
Damn, she has range.
Right?
Just voice range, but like project range too. It's not until you look her up that you're like, wait a minute, she was in this? Wait a minute, she was in what? This
Big Nani energy.
voiceover artist has been in everything from Barbie to Call of Duty.
Not being in Barbie, literally is Barbie.
Barbie.
Yes,
The
she is the voice
Barbie.
of Barbie.
She is the girl.
Yeah. Isn't that just crazy? I'm so excited to have her as part of our live stream event.
She will be. I'm sure her panel would be super fun. I was just thinking about though, like the mispronunciation, so that I do apologize for. But just it always amuses me when you see. I saw like a clip of Azumanga Daioh recently, so that's like an old ass callback.
Dang,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a
But
callback.
do you remember like the teachers? And one of them was an English teacher, I think, and like the clip was of them like speaking to foreigners, and I love like the Japanese accentation of English. They're like, "Hello, how are you? Fine, thank you." Like, and I
My
always
God,
think that's hilarious.
The cat from Azumanga Daioh is
The
just
one that
like
chomps
my
everyone.
spirit animal. No, not the one that chomps everyone. The hello, everyone. How you fine? Thank you.
You're talking about Chio's dad.
Oh,
Cheers.
I wish I were a bird.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Pretty-
Norio Wakamoto cat.
yeah.
Oh dear.
I remember that. Those are old. I don't know how many people know that show anymore. I'm a little sad. But
There
it was a
are
good show.
people younger than that show, and it's entirely possible that they're legal drinking age. If I really want to destroy us, let's go look up when that show
Oh boy. Oh boy. I was reminded yesterday that Final
Oh,
Fantasy
God, he's
X is
right.
20 years old.
came out. Oh God, I'm
You're too
right.
It's
I'm
April 8th,
right.
2002.
Uh,
Oh God.
Oh wow.
God.
Oh, I didn't want to be that correct. Oh no.
19. That's most legal. Like that's legal in most places.
Yeah.
19. And I'm not even saying like
Wow.
Canada. Like yeah, the US is I believe 21, but like aside from that, like a
Canada.
lot of places around the world are 18 or 19.
Hooray!
Ooh.
Oof.
Old.
I'd rewatch that show though. I'd rewatch as a manga just as something fun in the background.
Wow. I wonder if Erica Lindbeck voices it. Maybe
I
she's
don't-
Shio.
Nope. I don't think so. I looked up the credits. I don't remember all the credits, but I'm pretty sure Azumanga is not one of them.
That's
Uh,
fair. That's fair.
So obviously we're on a very anime episode sort of bent. There's a reason for that. It's because it is the Winter 2020 season recap. So
Yes.
we're reviewing all the stuff that sort of we recommended from episode, what was it, 122? Yeah, 122.
Something like that.
Something like 14 episodes ago, which sounds about right time-wise. And yeah,
The season is just about over, so we finally watched one episode of anime.
to see if we thought they would be worth it. Before we get too far ahead into them, just gonna list them off what they were. We had Skate the Infinity, Dr. Ramune, Mysterious Disease Specialist, X-Arm, Otherworld Picnic, and Heaven's Design Team. So 5 shows, different genres for the most part, all interesting in their own ways. Does anyone want to start us off with Skate and how you felt about it? Skate the Infinity,
Yeah, let's
sports
go.
anime. Sports anime.
Is it
Yeah.
really sports? It's not a sports anime. It's just an anime that happens to involve
sports.
something
Concern.
that is tangentially sports.
Yes.
It's just a
tangential.
It's
vehicle.
sports
It's just a
adjacent.
vehicle for a hot pink dad mom character.
Oh god,
what
Hey,
it
why
is.
not?
dude, Cherry Blossom is
It's an
like
enabler.
the Tony Stark of Skate the Infinity. It's great. So what can we say? Skate the Infinity is what happens
Had.
when some animator in Japan wakes up one day and is like, yo, Tony Hawk Underground was a pretty great game, but what if it was a BL anime? And then he brought it to the studio. He brought it to Studio Bow, and so they're like, yeah, we love this, but does it really have to be BL? What if it's just like Fujoshi bait? And then everyone was like, yeah, let's make it. Let's
like-
make it.
Congratulations,
Okay.
you now own the company. This is your raise, your promotion.
Yeah.
And
I will
so-
say I was super impressed with the animation. Like the actual action bits were pretty well done.
The entirety of the anime, like this is one of the ones that I have actually been keeping up with all season,
Oh yeah.
and it's consistently good. I love the animation. I love the
promising.
character designs. I love the characters themselves. Like your main characters are Reki, some hot-blooded, red-haired, spiky-haired protagonist, and then Langa, his almost kudere, pastel blue-haired, bowl-cut Canadian protagonist.
Yes, Canadian. By the
Yeah.
way, a snowboarder.
Exactly. And so the whole thing about Langa is like he was some prodigy snowboarder, but now he's stuck in Japan instead for reasons, and he fills his snowboard fix by doing skateboarding instead, and that's kind of the premise around what goes on.
And the funniest thing was like the fact that his coping mechanism for the transition was to duct tape his feet to the board. That was the
Yes.
part that made me laugh the most in that episode.
Oh my god!
As someone
it
who
was-
has done both sports, completely realistic, I don't understand why more snowboarders don't just skateboard in the off season. This doesn't make any sense at all. All you got to do is get some duct tape, and we got that in Canada too, so we should be fine. But no,
Like they
Oh.
actually, There's actually like a mini arc about tuning and tailoring a skateboard to him to make it feel
Ooh.
more and more like a snowboard, and just that's fun. But every single character in the show is great, and eventually they do introduce like a big bad of the skateboarding community. But on the way there, you get every BL archetype on the way, like
Like?
Reki. I'm not even joking. Like the first time I saw anything from this anime, I was like, wait, is this BL? And then I start watching this and I'm like, somebody really wanted this to be BL, and they just couldn't fit it in the story in the foreground. So it ended up just being Fujoshi bait.
I have a question because you've watched
Yeah?
more of it than us.
Mm-hmm.
Are there female skateboarders?
No.
Okay, that's all I
Are
really
there
needed
any
to know.
Straight
female
up,
characters?
There's like 2 female characters in the entire show, and that's Langa's mom and one police character that's gotten like 30 seconds of screen time over the course of 11 episodes.
Wow.
Nice.
So it's a very...
and Shadow's crush, who's also gotten like 30 seconds of screen time.
Wait,
Huh.
Shadow's crush is a female?
Yes,
What?
it's his
Wow.
boss at the. This is
True-
really a
he's a
spoiler.
true
They make this
antagonist.
very obvious.
He's a true
Uh,
antagonist.
But his boss at the flower shop, he has a total huge crush on her,
That's cute.
and
Sure,
because
wow.
of this, he is the only character who is basically confirmed either straight or bi. Like
Okay.
everybody else, you
I
get
mean,
the
alright.
vibes.
So I
know.
can see where you're trying to justify the Fujoshi bait bit here. Totally. Just like
Yeah.
after listening to this summary of the the cast of characters and what they're like and which ones are rumored / canonically straight or not.
In one of the last episodes, Langa and his mom actually had like a discussion where she thought she was talking about his girlfriend, but he was talking about Reki.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And like,
That's amazing.
but just straight up, the whole series is just like dudes being dudes and skateboarding and like Tony Hawk's Underground-esque antics. And I love it. It's great. Like it was the sleeper hit for me. I didn't expect this going into the season.
Yeah, I heard I heard it's actually gotten quite popular. I don't know, just like Twitter feed stuff, like people are starting to get into, or not just starting to get into, but like people are like, yeah, this shit's good. Like
Yeah.
check it out. Like people are sort of word of mouth promoting it and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
from what I saw, the limited 1 episode content I saw, it's definitely a fun show.
Yeah, it was
It's
very
not-
fun.
Yeah, this is not like the BL part. It's literally, I think I'm just like too old and I don't like the animation style anymore.
Really?
Like it's a very modern style,
Fair.
and
It
I
is.
don't necessarily have anything like wrong with it, like from watching, but I don't enjoy it as much.
I think
some reason.
you're probably particularly referencing like specific character aesthetic rather than or
Yeah, it's
animation
like,
aesthetic,
again,
I should
like
say,
not-
rather
yeah,
than the
like-
animation itself.
Yeah, if you want to talk about the actual like art design, there's nothing wrong with his execution. I just feel like I like a different style of just
I
the
do
art
remember.
style, like pure art style, because like there are shows that I've loved like the story too, but I was just like, I hate the art style, and you know, and that's like 10, 15 years ago too. So it's not like it's exclusive to right now.
I remember you mentioning while we were watching it, Jay, did you say that the one like there's this little side mascot cute thing character that's a little
The
fennec,
Fennec Fox.
A
Yeah.
little fennec fox. The thing was damn adorable.
And Jay, did you say that the animation style of that fox was like different from the rest of the show? I thought you did.
No, I think that was Nancy, but actually,
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember thinking that it was much more cartoony than everything else. Like
it did
cartoony
feel a
as
little
in-
out of place.
It was childish in the execution. Like
Yeah.
it had a
But-
little like boop boop, like sort of
But it was still very, very cute.
overly expressive. Yeah.
But
was,
yeah, it was a little out of
it
place.
was the token cute thing.
Yeah.
The
Every
token
BL
But I was
cute
also
anime
like,
thing.
needs
this
the
is-
cute thing.
I thought all the boys were the cute things. What's the point?
There he
No,
is.
Joe is the
Fujoshi bait
beefcake.
101 right there.
Oh, okay.
The
Yeah.
boys do all of the appeal for you.
But yeah, like I mean, aside from a gripe about like, I just want, or not even want, I just like I think the art style of anime, like very modern type shows, are moving beyond what I am like used to and like I guess. But it's
Didn't
still
you-
a pretty interesting show. I've said it
Didn't
before.
you
about
comment that
another
one
show.
of the dudes kind of looked like he was out of One Punch Man?
No, I said that the main character looks like he's from Shokugeki because he is.
Oh, okay.
He looks like he's like 5
Yeah.
years older Shokugeki guy. I don't remember the main character's name in Shokugeki.
Reki.
No, in Shokugeki.
Oh, and Shokugeki. Okay, I don't know. I never
I don't
actually
remember.
watched it.
I don't remember his name anymore. But like,
Soma.
I've
he
heard nothing but
looked
good
like-
things
It
about
was
it,
Soma.
but I've never watched it.
It's
Yeah.
great. I do recommend it, especially if you're a foodie like us.
It's a good show. It's a good show. I think that there are better shows, but because good food anime doesn't really come around that often. It's not bad at all. It's a good one for the current
So,
and the current anime meta.
speaking of food anime, Dr. Ramune, mysterious disease specialist,
I mean, you're not
isn't
wrong.
really a
that
food
has
anime
something-
at all.
But the first episode had a lot to do with food for some reason, so we'll go with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
10 out of 10 segue would do again.
But you can't just point out how good the segue is. That makes the segue worse.
Nope.
That's like jokes. It's not a joke if you gotta explain it.
No, it was a
Exactly.
wonderful segue. Everyone applaud him. Send comments
Applause.
to his
Yay.
Twitter. Everyone do goo.
Applause. Yes.
Dr. Ramune hated. Well, hated is not quite right because there's another show that I hated. Truly disliked the animation
It was
style.
not.
Did
it was
not like the
good.
animation style at all. Premise was passable. Like, not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just occult, weird bullshit that you want to call it a disease. Sure, you can call it a disease. We had a girl who was squirting mayonnaise out of her eyes, and then it was ketchup, and then
It was soy
ramen
sauce.
broth and soy sauce and everything, and it just turns
It
out that-
was.
this is spoiler central, but it was just because she was upset about having to work at 8 years old or something like that.
Yeah, because she was a child actor.
Yeah,
and
but
her
also
mom didn't love her anymore.
her mother was a terrible person. But anyway, yeah.
Don't
I'm not sure how
really-
I feel about the show as a whole.
Yeah.
So there were several problems that I felt with the show that just it had a lot of issues that I noticed from a different show that I actually liked, except whereas I liked the other show despite those issues, Dr. Ramune just cranked them up to 11. So to put the comparison right out there, the issues that I noticed in the Fate series that featured Waver, I can't remember, Fate Rail Zeppelin, something like that. And the problem with that was it was a detective show where, because it was magic, because of that, as the viewer, you could never work out the mystery on your own. The solution was always some bullshit ass pull that it comes out of left field. You cannot predict it. You can't be like, aha, I am the Sherlock Holmes here. And Dr. Ramune cranks that up to 11. It's, oh, this girl, she's squirting mayonnaise out of her eyes. What the fuck? Okay, but why? Why could she be squirting mayonnaise out of her eyes? Maybe she's a mayo addict. Maybe she drinks Kewpie mayo right from the bottle, and she's so full of mayo that
She's
it's
a
squirting out of her.
degenerate.
No, she squirts mayo out of her eyes because her mom doesn't love her.
It's because, yeah, and just to clarify, and again, and it's spoiler city, but I mean, it's not like it's heavy on story, this type of show. It's specifically because she missed the quality time that she got to spend with her mother before she got famous. So the quality time being like eating a cooked meal with her mother. And yeah, like I think that I understand where the quote unquote trauma is coming from. But boy, I didn't care enough about that show, and I feel like they have to make the characters likable enough to care about what they do. The
Yeah.
doctor kind of sucks. His assistant
Yeah.
kind of sucks.
Yeah.
The little girl is like, it's not her fault. She exists. The mother obviously sucked.
That's
Did-
the
did
other issue.
anyone-
It's like, the mother's hugging her daughter now because the mother sees how much pain she's causing her daughter. Everything is solved. It's like, no,
No.
everything's not solved. It's an abusive parent, and you've pointed out how horrible she's been being, but you haven't really fixed the core issue.
But we punished her by getting rid of all of her fancy luxury items. I guess.
That her child star money bought. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
But like,
the-
I got
it's-
a bit of a faint Inspector Gadget kind of vibe from it because of the doctor, and
I see
like
what you mean.
there's no Penny though. There's no character
There's-
that you actually root for.
There's just
Yeah.
no way to empathize with the doctor. Like, it's fine that the doctor character is eccentric. That's not a problem. There's lots of fixer type
Eccentric.
characters that are
Yeah.
eccentric. But you have to have some reason to sympathize with. And you know what? I get it. It was first episode. We watched 20 minutes. Like, there's not enough time necessarily to fit that.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want to care about them either. Like,
I've
there was
just-
no
Like,
lead in.
I don't know if there's like significantly more development after the first episode, and this was just the really weird
But the
hook
animation
they were trying
was
to
so
get
bad,
you
I
into.
wouldn't want to watch it.
I definitely
I've seen
wasn't
this
that big of a
exact
fan.
same formula play out much better multiple times. Like, this exact same formula is basically the formula behind Bakemonogatari. But Bakemonogatari had way better characters,
Yeah.
better animation, even though it was mostly just talking heads for 6 seasons.
I would
Uh,
say
and-
that.
Talking heads.
Like, it was legitimately more interesting. Mushishi also had a very similar formula.
Honestly, Doctor Who is like, it's basically Doctor Who except
Yeah.
worse.
Except you don't like the main character in
what was
any
another
way.
There's
yeah, you
another
need,
one that
you
I'm
need
thinking
to
of.
sympathize with a character like that. Otherwise, they're just like, ha ha ha, like, I know what the problem is all the time, and I'm here to fix it, and your problem is weird, but don't worry, there's no problem I can't fix, rather. And it's just like, I don't, but I still don't care about this character. It's like, it just doesn't make any difference to me. And I don't really care enough about the victims, which is a problem because you want to care about the victims, I think. It was
Like-
underwhelming at best.
It wasn't that it was incompetently done. It was just boring.
Mm-hmm.
On
mean,
the
I-
other hand,
On the other
let's tell
hand,
you about something incompetently done.
hey, wait. Do we want to go with the incompetently done segue, or do we want to go with the horrible animation that Jay hates segue?
Both.
I mean, they can be both.
Okay.
It's the same
Let's-
thing.
Let's
Hey,
do
look.
it.
Another segue, folks. Let's keep on going. Keep them coming, boys.
Let's drive these segues off a cliff.
Our third
Just like
Meanwhile-
the
anime.
Segue CEO.
Our third anime that we reviewed the other night.
Was
We
that
reviewed again. We watched one episode of it. Was
No, we didn't.
X-Arm? No, we didn't.
We didn't even
you're right.
watch
We did
one
not
episode.
watch
Lie.
one episode. We
We-
watched like
hold
6
on.
minutes.
We
We
watched
made it
12
through
minutes
12 minutes. 12
wow, we
whole
made it past
minutes.
the halfway mark.
of a.
and
I'm
we couldn't do
impressed.
it.
It was
Like,
So
it
what
was-
is X-Arm? X-Arm is a
Supposedly.
futuristic, post-apocalyptic sort of like show
'Kay.
about, I don't know, fighting stuff, and there's androids, and it's set in like 2500.
We
or something
basically
like
got
that.
to the hook of the episode, and we were like, "This is so dumb. Let's stop watching it."
Yeah. So
It was-
to be clear, there's 3 reasons why we stopped watching. First of
Which
all,
one do you want to start with?
the story was not interesting at all. That's actually one of the main reasons I suggest. I brought it up that we're like, do you want to just stop? Because at the 12-minute mark, I was like, we're not going anywhere. There's no development. It's just like the same fighting and trying to figure out where the story is trying to go. But by saying figure out where the story is going to go, I meant we know where it's going to go. Nowhere, because it's going to repeat like the same thing over and over again about this kid who is in a weird android body, brain thing, and AI intelligence and battle bots and whatever. Number 2, the animation. My God.
What animation?
It was some combination of
animation.
2D and 3D.
Yeah, that was the weird bit for me.
It
If
was
it was
so
all
jarring.
3D, at
Yeah.
least it was all 3D, but some of it was hand animated, and then the rest of it was not very good 3D animation.
And you
like,
could not predict when or where or why or who was going to
And-
be 2D or 3D animated. At first, I thought it was going to be like important settings or important characters would be 3D animated. No.
yeah.
So
They were
like,
background characters.
So here's the thing. I actually preferred the 2D animated characters to the 3D animated characters, but they made most of the important characters 3D.
I think this is what happened. At first, they were like, you know what? We're going to make all 3D because that's going to make the action cheaper to produce. You can do big sweeping camera movements. You can do more interesting character movements, and it'll be more consistent if you do use 3D. To be straight up, that is the strength of 3D. 3D allows very intricate camera movements and choreography, like action choreography, on a budget. And like that's the reason Ruby did it. Like if you want low budget, high action, that's what you do. But their problem was they're like, okay, we've got the 3D models for all the main characters, but we have all these side characters that barely move or barely show up. We can't afford to make 3D models for them. So we'll just draw them.
But sometimes
we
they
can't.
did.
But the issue then is that, okay, so we've got the expensive 3D models. We've got the cheap 2D characters. But we're not going to draw the main characters in 2D when the cheap 2D characters are on screen. And so you've got the 3D models interacting directly with the 2D characters.
It's weird.
And they're like, okay, well, how do we make the 2D characters and the 3D models look better? Oh, I know. Just don't really animate the 3D models at all. Keep them completely still.
Yeah.
And it's just
And
like,
It
what the hell are you
resulted
guys
in-
doing?
It was so bad.
It resulted in so many dead expressions. It
Yes.
was
Oh my
like,
God.
And on that
Just-
note, the third point I was going to bring up, it relates to the dead expressions. It's the voice flap. It's the mouth flaps for the voice
Oh
acting.
yeah. So
My God.
okay, so to tell the people who don't have any interest in watching this, the mouth movements were very similar to how Muppet mouths move. If you
Yeah.
remember what the Muppets looked like, that's what their mouths looked like when they were, doing the mouth flap thing. It was very unappetizing, to say
One
the
other
least.
thing that I noticed about the mouth flaps.
That's not fair.
And this is
That's not
something
fair.
that I always notice in anime is that they actually did take the time on the 3D models, at least, to move the jaw of the characters. In 2D animated anime and even some 3D, they don't always do that. So it's like,
Right.
hey, you guys noticed this
Yes.
detail and you did the thing. But then they didn't animate the jaw correctly. They just animated the jaw like sliding down
The mouth
instead
going
of
bop, bop,
hinging back. And it didn't hinge at the whole jaw didn't slide down. Like half of it did.
Yeah. I have two things to say about that.
It was
First
like
of all,
every time they opened their mouth, they were breaking their jaw. There should have been cracking
No.
bone
Here,
sound
here.
effects.
First of all, what Nancy said was a disservice to the Muppets because they are they're fairly animated. They're not animated, but they're puppet animated, and they're amazing.
that's-
they
but that's the
convey
thing.
emotion and expression a lot better
But
than
that's the
XR
thing.
characters
The
ever did.
Muppets do it
Number one.
well. Like
Yep.
the Muppets,
but that's not
like
what
the
you,
actual.
that's not what you said. You just said that it was like the Muppets and it sucked. So I
Well,
want to make that
no,
clear.
I said the
first of
jaw.
all.
The jaw motion was just like like a Muppet mouth.
Right. And then the second, relating to that, it did not ever look like they were saying like I'm not a Japanese lip reader. I don't know what that necessarily looks like, but I have an idea of what it could look like. But
Uh-huh.
every time a character in X-Arm opened their mouth, it sounded like they were about to say the following.
Um, from a dubbing perspective, so from the voice acting side, I also noticed that they didn't actually move the mouth consistently to the syllables that the actors were
No,
doing. So it
it
was
was like
basically the
watching
same.
A 70s
Yeah.
or 80s kung fu movie being overdubbed in English. That's
Except
what
it was in
looked like,
Japanese.
except worse.
Yeah.
I used
Still
to think,
worse.
I used to think that Berserk 2016 was like the lowest that anime could go. And with X-Arm, we have hit a new bar, a new
low.
low.
Wow. Yeah, so we didn't live past
Yeah.
12 minutes. Like we couldn't do it.
There was just no reason for us to at that point. You have to understand that we, your podcast hosts, our time is worth almost nothing. That being said, X-Arm was worth even less at that particular time. If someone tells me that X-Arm becomes the best anime of a generation, I still don't know if I could watch the remaining 8 minutes of that episode before I could continue on.
Nope. Nope.
I'm just remembering the mental list of all of the things that I didn't like about it while we were watching that episode, and it was just so hard.
Oh, I'm just glad that you guys could agree. You guys were all like, no, we have a moral obligation to the people to continue this. I was like, I don't
we have a moral obligation to the people to stop it. We should have stopped sooner than that.
Probably. I gave it a chance. I felt like we gave it a chance. We knew where the
Gave
story
it
was going to
more
go.
than it deserved.
Yeah.
The 3D animation was
Ugh.
significantly less expressive than if it had just been 2D animation.
Early Machinima looked better than what X-Arm.
Yes, I would say
produced.
that. I would
Like,
say
that's
that.
easy. Like
When-
old Red versus Blue.
Yeah.
Monty Oom's like Dead Fantasy. Is that what it was
Yeah.
called? I'm pretty sure.
Dead
That
Fantasy.
was
When
much better.
I was just gonna reference exactly that. Monty Ohm, rest in peace. You did so much more with
For the
your
record-
models than this.
And
This
for the record,
monstrosity.
like, it wasn't just like some generic scenes that we saw where it was like inside a room and they were talking. No, we saw fight scenes. We saw what they could
the
provide.
fight scenes were terrible.
We saw what they could provide across the spectrum with that type of animation that studio
looked
put out.
worse
and
than
we
bad
were
wire
like,
food.
my God. Anyways, I'm done with that.
I have a segue to Otherworld Picnic.
We should have just.
I will
we
say
should have
that it
kept
is
on
the
with
exact
food.
opposite of X-Arm.
We should have gone with the food theme, even though there was no actual picnic.
So Otherworld
you know.
Picnic is... I haven't watched the whole anime so far, but I have kept up with a few episodes. And I have to say that rewatching the first episode for the second time didn't really answer anything for me. I was just as confused coming out of that the second time that I was the first time.
It's another occult type show that has
Strange things
what's the
happening.
vibe? What's another show that has that sort of I said something about it last time, but they have like sort of like shadow creatures, or not shadow, like energy creatures of a kind.
I don't know. I don't think I've seen a show that was like this before.
I feel like
I
I've
also
seen something sort of
enjoyed I enjoyed the kind of storytelling they tried to employ here. They don't tell you, they just sort of show you by
It's
exposure.
show, not
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
Yes, and I really enjoy that because I think I came out of this with a lot more questions than answers, and I liked it. Like, I actually wanted to see where this show goes.
It's good.
It's set up one premise, and then it doesn't fill in any of the blanks for you, and I really like that because it gives them room for growing the story and the world and the characters.
Like-
wanted, this was like of the 5 we watched, this one and 2 other ones are probably the ones that I would have stuck with for the rest of the season.
Otherworld Picnic, the first episode again, since because it's not the heaviest on exposition, but that's fine. It definitely
like
has the
it.
most compelling potential that you would be like, like obviously it's subjective to each their own. But for the like, if it grabs you, I think it's going to stay with you. If it doesn't grab you, it's because you didn't get that exposition that you thought you deserve as an audience member. Um, but it's still better than probably Dr. Ramne in the same sort of occult phase. Genre is the right word. Like, they're both occult types of shows, but definitely Otherworld Picnic would be, I think, generally considered the superior storytelling, superior animation quality,
I would
superior
almost go as far as to say
superiorness.
that Otherworld Picnic is more of like an adventure show than an occult show. Like it has
There's
occult
both,
and eldritch inspirations
sort of, yeah.
and influences, but it's less about being like, oh, we're exploring the intricacies of Mayo coming out of your tear ducts, and it's more like, okay, so if we go in this elevator and we hit the buttons in this order, the elevator scene, by the way, was super fun. uh, and then they just step into this other world where general physics and common sense don't apply.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Yep.
difference between something like Dr. Ramune, where you can never predict what's going to happen, and Otherworld Picnic, is that as the show progresses, it does start introducing kind of rules for the other world that will, at least for that episode, be consistent. So you can start trying to piece things together. You can try to work through it. You can try to understand it instead of it just being, well, so random. We can't just don't even try. It's just no. You can try. You can try to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there.
There's something a little Doctor Whovian about it, but not quite so zany.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. There's a mystery to it that you're willing to
Suspend disbelief for.
exactly and sort of like work through whatever it is that they're trying to get to. Like, again, it's not particularly linear storytelling, but it is compelling. But like animation style, like I said, it's cute, it's fun, it's got a good mix of like a little bit of exaggeration and then a little bit more sort of almost like a slice of life type of animation where it's fairly grounded. But I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yep.
The
that
next
one gets a thumbs up from me.
I unfortunately we can't talk about that one so much because we don't have enough information about it. But the first episode is one of those, like, it's a teaser episode that works. So
Yes. And you know what else works?
Heaven's
The
Design Team
hard-working
works.
design team behind Heaven's Design Team.
Those angels are angels.
Yes.
They do a good job.
It's like, I feel like Nancy would appreciate it way more than I did, but it basically put creating animals to committee, to like,
Project
well, a
management.
design team.
No, it was project management. The client has
Yeah.
stated that he would like these things, and then
Yes.
it's the team trying to figure out
Okay.
what it is and turn it into something that's like physically
Yeah.
possible.
There's a lot of like it's not just a superficial kind of humor. There are definitely layers of humor there that are fun for working adults to watch. And it's not just like
Especially-
it's got a fun like animation style, colorful, whatever. But it's got like, sure, like it's creating animals. For me, excuse me, I burped. That was a great little thing because I love animals. I love nature. And like they're like, oh, we're going through these little design quirks of animals and how to make them work, like how to make a giraffe and why a giraffe can work as an animal. For
Yeah,
example.
so okay, I want to talk about the giraffe.
Was like, yeah, I made one good thing once,
Ever.
and now everything I make is the
Is based
same
off of
good
the
that
thing.
same thing.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the giraffe. So the show has a pretty healthy amount of edutainment to it, sort of in the
Yes.
same way that Cells at Work kind of did.
Like
But
a
in this
tiny bit,
case,
yeah.
it's a bit of like, physics and biology and how that relates. But I want to point out that every team I've ever worked on always had that guy. So the request from the client was the thing that would eventually result in the creation of a giraffe. But
It was
One
basically,
of-
I want an animal that can eat the leaves from the tall part of the tree, or something
yeah,
like
so
that.
that was the request. And fine, that sounds like a sensible ask. But I want to point out there's always going to be someone who goes outside of the box so hard that they don't actually solve the original problem. So there was a guy who proposed, why don't I just make a tree that will do this, and it'll allow all the animals to be able to feed off of the top of it without actually being like an animal. Like his idea was to create a tree that fulfills the needs, sort of, kind of, not the animal that the client asked for. There is, for anyone who's ever worked on an engineering team or like a problem solving team, any kind of a tech team, there's always going to be one person that does that. And it's hilarious that they captured it so well in this show. It was just like an aside. They didn't even spend a lot of time on this joke, but they
No.
captured the essence of that person on your team. They did it well. I
And they
really appreciate
clearly-
a lot of the things that they joked about in
Yeah, there
the
was
one episode that we saw.
Clearly, the writer behind this show has some experiences.
Yes.
Has seen some things.
It's definitely got a lot of like office work vibe. It's got a lot
Yeah.
of like humors. The humor in layers is what I'm trying to address. And again, on the front end, it's animals are ridiculous, and it's because they're designed this way. The second layer is like office level humor, and the third level is design work, like engineering based humor, essentially.
Oh God, yes.
And
Yeah, and
that's just what we saw from like the first episode. There could be more, and I'm down.
And
for
like,
it.
it takes a little bit of skill to be able to marry those levels of humor together well, and I think they did really well.
Oh, they did fantastic.
There was the one dude who was like, I made one good thing once, and now everything kind of is a shadow of that thing or a derivative of that thing. There's the, I'm really brilliant, but I'm kind of just an intern, and I'm here to pay attention and help wherever I can. And like the archetypes of those types of teams who do that kind of work, like they did a really good job. I loved it. I want to watch more.
I feel like that one guy who took it upon himself to try to design the most tasty animals possible.
Oh my god.
I feel like he's my spirit animal.
I loved him too. The altruistic but ultimately has selfish reasons for doing his job.
Him just trying to eat the anteater, and the guy who designed the anteater trying to protect his baby from it.
Yep.
That was so cute.
Yep.
I enjoyed.
I think I can confidently speak for all of us that, regardless of your general preferences in anime, whether it's like this genre or this art style or whatever you're looking for, Heaven's Design Team is probably the one that everyone should just watch for fun. There's like very little that you shouldn't resonate with. I feel like it just has like a very universal fun appeal that's not like too childish, too adult, too weird, too like this or that. Like the only thing is like maybe you don't like the art style. That's maybe the only thing, but that's because it does employ something that you don't normally see as an art style.
Colors?
A lot of the it has a lot of strong line artwork.
Yeah, it is.
It outlines a lot of its the characters in more than just like a thin black line or whatever. So it looks a little strange in that regard, but it's still fun. Lots of bright colors, lots of funny little in jokes. Yeah, it's probably the one show that we watched that we actually all super liked.
All of us were like, yeah, this is amazing. Like,
So
most of us
clearly-
were pretty into Skate.
Yeah.
Most of us were pretty into Otherworld Picnic. All of us were losing our shit with Heaven's Design Team.
And
It was
all of
just
us
so good.
really hated X-Arm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's
I
pretty
think
clear
XR
how
was
we
the-
ranked the 5.
Yeah. X-Arm was the only one where all of us were like 100% in agreement of the quality of the anime, but Heaven's Design Team was a close second. And fortunately positive.
Mm-hmm. We left the best for last, luckily. We didn't really have an order going in of watching these shows. X-Arm just happened to be in the middle, and we're like, oh god, I hope we can recover from this.
It was the order of, okay, what did we actually watch last week?
Right.
Yeah. No,
So-
it was a good time. And it was good hangouts, as usual.
Yeah.
With that, that's pretty much the recap for Winter 2020. Those are the only shows that mattered all of last season, so go ahead and watch them, or don't. We will be going into Spring 2021 previews pretty soon here, probably next episode, or the episode after that. Who knows?
Can't
I do.
wait.
I control this. I do. I know this. But there should be some fun stuff, and hopefully we can find some gems and find some absolute pieces of coal that we can also just hate. It's good to hate on things.
No
It's good to
coal
rant.
will burn as brightly as X-Arm. I tell you that much.
That's what you think. But
I'm trying
yeah.
I want
really
to
hard not
believe
to remember.
That X-Arm is the lowest of the low that the anime industry can go for like another 6 years.
You're wrong.
Do you even remember something that we disliked this much in the last 6 years?
Oh, if you want to watch the first episode of Berserk 2016, it is
I
a
don't.
ride.
No, I don't.
Like, speaking as someone who really loves Berserk,
I know you do.
what the fuck?
Oof.
We've watched some weird stuff, but yeah.
You know, for a
We
studio
haven't,
blow
we,
up,
we haven't had a universal hate.
Berserk 2016 was done by the same studio that's currently doing So I'm a Spider, So What?
Oh, yeah.
And the spider isekai is actually genuinely enjoyable.
Right.
So, like, good job, studio. I don't know what your name is, but you did Berserk, so I don't want to know your name.
With that, I think we'll end this episode. Keep an eye out for our next ones. Keep an eye out for the next bit of Otafest 2021 news that we'll have coming out. And thank you again for listening. Catch up on Erica Lindbeck's stuff, and we will have another episode for you next week.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.